Are they? Are they? So like, obviously, I'll ask you, Lee. Are they keeping? Because I know they're bringing back a lot of the characters. So
Yeah.
in your task force, there was like, let's see if I remember, like there was Juice. Um,
Hang on, I've got the
No,
names.
Juice,
You're
not Juice.
you're thinking of blank
Deuce.
check, mate.
No. There was Juice, Preacher, Rabbit,
Preacher's in
and
it.
yep,
Rabbit's not for obvious reasons.
yep.
A-
Spoiler alert for a 3-year-old game.
Hang on, here you go. Somebody called AFO. I don't remember who AFO was.
I don't think he was in Medal of Honor.
Unless it's a new name. Maybe it's a new character.
No, that must be new.
There's
I
somebody
don't
called
know that.
AFO. There's one called Voodoo.
Yeah, Voodoo Preacher. Yep.
A guy called Neptune. A guy called Preacher, and they make up Task Force Mako, which were the ones that we got to see in this particular bit. Something that they're doing with Medal of Honor though is that with this new one, they've took like a lot of sort of real world news stories and headlines and stuff.
Yep.
And they've effectively told those stories within the game, and then tied them all together into one big overarching plot. So if you think about it as like lots of separate campaigns, like separate little missions, and then again they all sort of tie sort of into each other.
Well, that's really good, because one of the things that I said to you was, and I would say it to EA's face, is how are you going to stop this from turning into a Michael Bay cluster wang?
Do you want to know something? It is absolutely fuck all like it, Michael. That trailer probably didn't do it any favours. The bit that we seen playing weren't piss all like that.
That's good. That's good though. That's what I want to hear.
It's not. It was. I'm trying to think how best to explain it. It's very human. Like that's one of the things that they were keen to sort of say that they are doing, because let's be honest, there's fucking Call of Duty and there's Battlefield. Why, if you're gonna, they're effectively doing the same sort of game, and it could be argued that because they're even using the Frostbite engine, that it's not even that far removed from Battlefield. But one of the things that
Medal of Honor is the campaign I wanted Battlefield to give me. Like if you play the reboot Medal of Honor, that is better campaign-wise than Battlefield by a country mile.
Oh yeah, fucking hell yeah. So this demo thing starts off with is the guy with the beard Preacher?
No, the main guy, the guy who was on the cover of Medal of Honor.
It was probably he was one of the main guys in the first one.
I thought he was either Rabbit or Juice.
Oh, I don't know. Anyway, there's a guy with a beard.
Yep.
And
Call him Santa.
It starts off this sort of mission that they showed us. It starts off, and it's like it's like, I want to say it's quite arty, but it's not like over the top arty. It's just like him in a corridor, just sort of like up against the wall, just sort of like he's not under fire or anything. He's just taking fucking 5 minutes, and you can see it in his face that he's like looking tired, and it's playing a message from his wife to him.
All right.
That like from back home, she's like she's just saying hello, but she's also saying like how she's talking about like how she misses him and how it kills her that she can't know where he is all the time and this sort of stuff. That particular cutscene, it's not over dramatic or anything like that. It's not like, oh my god, my baby, I really miss you, please come home. It's none of that shit. It is literally like a wife talking to her husband sort of thing. Like I can imagine that that conversation like felt very, very real. And then like that phone call sort of ends, and then he just sort of like he just whips around the corner, and then he's just like he's not on the phone to her, it's just playing while he's taking 5 minutes. And then he just whips around the corner, and then he just goes into like sort of straight into the mission. And it plays out. It was in like a flooded hotel where you've got to save some hostages, so it plays out pretty much exactly how you'd expect it to be honest with you. There's a bit of, even though it's using the Frostbite engine, there didn't seem to be a lot of damage being shown in the version that we'd seen. I don't know if that's something they're not putting much of into the game, or if it's just a case of it's not.
There wasn't a lot in the last Medal of Honor.
Yeah.
To be honest.
But it was just weird to see
him. Stuff.
It was weird to see him toss a grenade and then the grenade go off, but then nothing around the grenade be damaged. But again, it was like an early build, so it's probably just because they haven't put it in yet. Yeah. But it was good, like seeing like a lot of the particle effects in it. They were a lot better than what they were in. It has a very much different atmosphere to it than what Battlefield does. Like it was just like the particle effects in the air and like just paper fucking blowing around like in this hotel and shit. And Obviously, it was all flooded and everything, so there was like water across all of the bottom. And then that plays out. Then you get to a point where you have to breach a door to get into the room to save these hostages.
Yeah.
But the breach doesn't play out quite like it does in other games.
Is this when you say the breach, you mean like the thing where they stand outside the door and it goes slow motion? And
yeah, it is. Yeah, but I'll come back to that in a sec. So you play out through the thing, you save the hostages, and then it goes into cutscenes like while you're saving the hostages and stuff like that. It's like in pretty much any other game, you get into that room, you'd save the hostages. The hostages would just stand up, go, "Oh, thank you," and then they'd walk out down the steps. They would, wouldn't they?
I like the fact that the hostages are the same voice as your internet voice from earlier.
The hostages are just trolls the whole time.
Yeah, they've got troll faces.
Thank you, another indie game.
Why didn't you start a Kickstarter? Anyway, sorry. I haven't spoke. I only spoke for 5 minutes. I felt I need to say something, but carry on.
Like they'll get onto their boats and then just like obviously they fuck off and it's the end of the mission. But they took like really great care. Is like again to sort of like bring it back to like the human thing. Is that like it goes into a cutscene while they're saving these hostages, but it's like it's really personal. It's like the fucking guys sort of like grabbing the people and like holding their hands and taking them down the stairs and sort of stuff like that, like getting them out of the building. And loading them onto these boats. And then this fucking awesome bit on this boat plays out. It's an on-rails bit where you just like, they're just launching off fucking grenades at anything, really. Just blowing shit up on the way out. And it's like through this flooded city. So it's like, it's a bit of a weird environment, but it's fucking quality. And then they get out into the open and then these fucking Chinooks like fly overhead, and the guy just like the Chinook just lowers these two ropes, and they attach the boat to the bottom of the Chinook. The Chinook picks them out of the water and takes off. It's fucking brilliant. It was really good.
Oh, awesome. That's the thing that Medal of Honor did really well. Like even the bits that are like fist pump fuck yeah moments felt still grounded.
Yeah.
Whereas Call of Duty, those moments felt fucking ridiculous. Good, but fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, but like,
and it's like. That bit in Medal. Do you remember that bit in Medal of Honor right at the end where you're basically, spoiler alert, you're at the bottom of like a cliff, like a mountain range, and just wave after wave of enemy soldiers are coming to kill you,
yeah.
And it's clear that you're all going to run out of ammo.
Yeah.
Do you remember? But that bit was like fucking awesome, but it felt real. It didn't feel over the top.
Yeah, I know what you mean. The whole game's like, well, certainly the bit that we've seen is like it's like that. Like they're really, that's one of the things that I think they're really focusing it on. They're probably making it. They've learned probably quite a lot from the last one as well, and they're really, really focusing on making like these guys feel real. They had one guy there who was ex-Tier 1. He was an ex-Tier 1 operative. He was like US Spec Ops. His name was.
Can't say.
No, I don't. Well, I don't know his full name. It might not actually be his real name. His name was Tyler, who was like the most fucking down-to-earth bloke in the world, but at the same time he's ex-Spec Ops, so don't fuck with him. And he was talking about sort of how he got involved with the game. Basically, he got wounded in Iraq, so he ended up sort of working with Danger Close on the game as like their technical advisor and stuff like that. And just like the fucking passion that them guys have got for that game, and they also one of the things that they were keen to iterate was that they do a lot of it out of respect. Is like they know that a lot of these world events sort of played out for real. Like even if they're just loosely based on them, he said they still talk to like the families and that are involved, and just they make sure that like it's okay with them, that's the sort of thing that they're doing, because they don't obviously want to sort of upset anybody or sort of portray anybody wrongly and stuff like that.
That's why I don't get why they backed down when they released Medal of Honor, the original one, on the whole Taliban thing. You know, online they were going to call it the Taliban, and then they changed it, even though it's the Taliban all the way through the single player.
It's very obvious who the fuck it is. You can't stop a problem just by changing a name. It does really annoy me.
It's exactly, and it's absolutely not disrespectful. Just because the fight's going on today, it's like it is not. I don't see how that's disrespectful. Like that game, it doesn't make a mockery. Like if it was Call of Duty, I'd understand it. 'Cause it's kind of over the top. It kind of would feel a bit like it was a mockery, but Medal of Honor does not feel like a mockery. Like what you're saying, Lee, I really get that. It's like respect. It's like done with. It's tangible. I don't know how to express this in words, but it's like it's tangible when you play the game. that they've done it with an air of deep and solemn respect for the people that actually do this.
Yeah, they have. Like, you can just hear it in the guy's voice, like, when they're talking. It's like just the way how they're talking about, like, he's talking about the accuracy of, like, even down to the accuracy of all of that stuff, but then even down to the accuracy of the guns, and like they're changing shit sort of on the guns, and like the way that the guns work in all games, like you think they do, is like they're just making them more like they are in real life. Apparently there was one instance, it wasn't Tyler in particular, it was one of the other guys that they had who was like a special forces advisor on it. He was playing the game and they were asking what about it was like and everything. And then this tier 1 operative, he was like, this game's shit, and he was getting pissed off with it. Apparently he was getting really pissed off with it and proper fucking raging. And they were like, what's the problem? He was like, I can reload quicker than that. and they were like, no, that's the right sort of pace for the reload on it. He was like, no, fuck it, it's not. And then apparently they then took that guy from the office upstairs downstairs, put him up in a motion capture suit, gave him the fucking gun, made him reload it, and now him reloading is that particular gun is like the motion capture for that thing.
That's
and
awesome.
Sure as shit, it's a bit quicker.
Fuck.
That is fucking awesome.
And there was another instance he said where they're doing a bit about the door breach. Actually, I'll touch on that again. You know, like in a lot of games, when you do the door breach and it hits the whole fucking slow motion thing and stuff like that, or you'll look under the fucking door with a mirror and all that sort of shit, or a fiber optic camera.
Oh yeah.
The guy was saying like how in real life when you're in that situation, you come up to a door like. He said, they don't have little fucking mirrors to look under the things. We don't have little fibre optic cameras and everything. We're going through a door. We don't know what's in there. We've just got to be ready for everything all of the time. He says, we'll go up to a door. We'll look at it. What's it made out of? He says, the first thing we actually do when we go up to a door is just check see if it's locked. They'll work out sort of what could be on the other side of the door. He says, you could have a room that's empty. You could have a room sat down where 6 guys are playing cards with AK-47s. He says you just have to be ready for everything all of the time. And he says he was talking about how one of the things that like really pisses him off is like the way that like they just slap fucking C4 onto a door and blow the door, and then go storming through the door, and then it's just like pop, 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 everybody's dead, and you just stand there in the door. He says in real life, you breach a door and you stand in the fucking door. He was like, you're gonna get dead. He's like, you'd be dead within a second because. He actually referenced Star Wars. He says, you know, episode of Star Wars when, like all the stormtroopers are sort of shooting towards. I think they're shooting towards Luke and everybody like that, and they're shooting down a hallway towards them, and that's because fucking they're all stood in the doorway. It's like he said, what you do is you get in, you get through the door, and you get down behind something as quick as you can. But because you don't know what's on the other side of the door, you don't know if there's anything there. And he was just sort of talking about that. So, just like the authenticity of it, apparently they spent something like a week or something daft. They built a door. They built like a room up in the mocap studio with a door on it. Apparently they just had spec ops guys kicking down doors for a fucking week. Just mocap, just every single possible iteration of them just kicking down the door. They had them doing that for like a week. So like the attention to detail in that game is fucking insane.
Shit.
I'll be honest with you, I could probably talk about it for another fucking hour, but I'd probably better stop there.
See, now do you see why I keep saying Medal of Honor is better than Battlefield?
I never doubted you on that. I prefer the